So I'm typing a work email and I'm kind of confused as to how to start. So it's to Susan. Should I say Dear Susan or Hi Susan, or I don't know, I'm confused. Hello and welcome to yet another lesson, and today's lesson is about common mistakes in business emails. That's right, we all know how important it is to make your email look good and sound good in order to get your work done. And there are so many people out there who actually struggle with writing business emails, and there are many mistakes that are common. I'm going to address a few of them today, and maybe you can actually double check whether you're making some of these and make sure then that you start avoiding them. So the first one on my list is, well, now this one, though it sounds kind of really atrocious, a lot of people do this, forgetting to greet. Now imagine if you receive an email that just starts with the subject matter like, well, according to our conversation, I have decided to send you the presentation right away. But who are you? And who are you talking to? Is this email for me? Is it for the person in my team? It gets very confusing. So it's very important to address the email with a hi, hello, or dear, followed by the person's name, and to also close it with your name. So a greeting and a closing are both very important. Otherwise, it's very difficult to find out who the email is addressed to and who has written the email. And that can lead to a lot of confusions at work. So this one is something that you really want to avoid. So make sure you remember to greet the person that you are writing the email to, and also remember to actually close the email with your own name, with say maybe a thanks or a regards. Followed by your own name, and that makes it very clear as to who the email is going to and who has written it. Now the next thing that a lot of people do, and you don't want to be the one to do this, is being too formal. Now the way you write your email, or rather the tone of the email, has to reflect your personal relationship with the person you're writing to. So for example, if I have been working with Jack for the past 10 years and we have a friendly working relationship, but I write the email to him saying something like, respected Mr. Jack White, suddenly Jack is going to be like, why is she talking to me like she's talking to me for the first time? We've been interacting for work for the past 10 years, and she could have said something as simple as, Dear Jack, and that would have made more sense. So, addressing people with respect to your relationship with them is very important. So for example, if you're writing to Susan for the first time, you could actually address her as Dear Mrs. White. But once you get acquainted with her, that's when you can actually drop the Mrs. White and come down to first name basis and say something like, hello Susan, or Dear Susan, or Hi Susan, and that would be appropriate. So make sure you're not being too formal, because that can make the tone of the email very businesslike and very heavy and not a very friendly tone. The next thing you can do is being too informal. Now let's remember, we're writing business emails. Business emails are for work and professional purposes. They're not a chat between you and your best friend. So sometimes I've seen people in emails, they get too informal and too soon. So imagine you've met a client 1 month back, and instead of, addressing him as Mr. John or John, you actually write to him saying, "Hey Johnny boy," or "Hey buddy boy." How do you think he's going to react to that? "Hey Johnny boy," "Hey buddy boy." Trust me, it's a big no. That's right. So make sure you're not being too informal. So avoid nicknames or endearments. Like for example, if you're talking to Martha, you can't always keep saying something like, "Martha darling, Martha sweetie, please reply to my email quickly." Martha is not your best friend from school. Martha is somebody you work with. So it's very important to maintain the professionalism and that degree of formality which appears appropriate. So, using nicknames or endearments, getting too informal too quickly in a business email is not recommended. Moving on. Now, this is something that forgetful people do, but it's a huge jarring mistake: forgetting the subject line, or worse still, forgetting to change the subject line. So imagine you've written a previous email to somebody, and then you're kind of writing another email to somebody else, but you forget to change the subject line. Now that could actually prove to be very expensive, because it's very rude, impolite, and it may show your client or your boss that's how careless and casual you are about writing a business email. So that's one thing that you shouldn't do. So forgetting the subject line is not recommended. Make sure you mention the subject always. So your subject line could be something as simple as "regarding the quarterly presentation." So what happens when you mention a subject line that is crisp and to the point? The person who's viewing your email actually comes to know what your email is regarding in brief, in short, and then they can actually prioritize or choose not to prioritize that email depending on their time. So if I have a full inbox of emails, I'm going to look at the subject line and see which one to address first and which one to keep for later. So the subject line is a very, very important thing. Forgetting to write the subject line or forgetting to change it is definitely not the correct way to go about it. Moving on, this is something that can really irritate you, your colleagues, and your bosses. It's called hitting reply all. Well, this is a complete no-no, because imagine if your boss has written to you and he has CC'd some others in your team, but you want to address some certain doubts or certain queries, and those are of a personal nature. By hitting reply all, the first thing you're doing is disturbing others. At the same time, oversharing. So there may be certain details, which you need to share only with your boss. By hitting reply all, what you're doing is you're sharing it with a lot of other people when it is not required. It can, actually prove to be a nuisance and a disturbance to other people. So make sure when you're replying to a business email, you know exactly who you want to reply to, and you can add that person, or if there's more than one person, you can add those persons, but absolutely and completely avoid hitting reply all, because you don't want 50 people receiving your email and you don't want to cause a huge nuisance. Well, that's all about hitting reply all. And the next one, now this is a habit that starts when you're very young, probably in school, and then goes on and multiplies and grows and becomes a huge problem when you're working. So, well, that is all about not punctuating. So punctuations like commas, full stops, semicolons, these are all very, very important punctuations, because if you don't put a comma in the right place, or if you don't end your sentence with a full stop, or you don't use the semicolon, you could actually change the meaning of what you're writing, and it could get very confusing for the person who's reading your email. So make sure you're punctuating properly. In fact, I would say make sure you're punctuating absolutely perfectly while writing a business email, because it actually shows how organized and to the point and crisp you are if you punctuate well. So we looked at some common mistakes that people make while writing business emails, and we're going to look at some more. Now, the first one on my list is including too many personal details. Now, you have to understand that your email is a business email. It needs to be crisp and to the point. It's not really a chat group where you just keep talking about your personal life. Like, for example, if I'm asking my boss for leave on one particular day, I can just say, I request you to grant me leave. I don't have to actually go and explain to him things like, for example, well, now that my daughter is in first grade and it happens to be her annual day celebration where she happens to be playing the cub in The Lion King, I have then decided to go to her school and attend the annual day function. Trust me, your boss is not interested, or I would say not that interested in your personal life. So you have to keep it brief, to the point, and formal. Because if you include too many personal details, you can be viewed as unprofessional. Now, that's not an impression that anyone wants to create at their workplaces. Moving on, I have the next one. Now, this one is something I've seen a lot of people do, mostly lazy people. They do this. They forget to correct their typos or their errors. Now, there's a lot of errors that can happen when you're writing a business email. There could be spelling mistakes, spelling errors, or punctuation errors, or probably the information that you wanted to share, the technicality of it, maybe there is a discrepancy there. But some people don't take the time to actually review their entire email. They just hit the button send, and then that email with a lot of mistakes reaches either your boss or client or whoever that you're sending it to. And that's not really professional. That shows how lax and careless you are about sharing the information. So it's very important to correct spelling, punctuation, and other details before you hit send, because your email needs to be word perfect to make a good impression. Well, moving on, I have some traits that I have seen in people who are very, very curious. So a lot of us have a lot of queries, a lot of questions and doubts that we want answers to. But be careful. When you're writing an email, it's okay to ask questions and clear your doubts, but make sure you do that just once. There are a lot of people I have seen in emails who like to repeat the same query, the same question over and over again. Probably, I don't know what they're hoping for, a different answer maybe, or a clearer answer. So if you're confused and the first answer is not sufficient for you, you could say something like, well, I'm glad you addressed my query, but I am still not clear. Can I please request you to clarify? Rather than writing the same question all over again, because that can appear very rude. So repeating questions is a complete no. Make sure you actually address your queries and doubts without repeating the question. And moving on, I have the last one on my list. Now, this one's a pet peeve with many bosses. because a lot of employees, especially the younger employees, are seen to be using emojis in their emails. Now, for those of you who don't know what emojis are, they're actually these really cute icons which are available nowadays on the emoji app. You know, it could be like a smiley face, or it could be an angry face, or it could be someone crying. So they have a lot of these really cute emojis, you know, different symbols like, you know, all the best and I'll punch you and all of those things. So since you are writing a business email, make sure you stick to formal, you know, methods such as writing the full word, not using short forms, and punctuating correctly rather than punctuating with an emoji. So make sure emojis are avoided. Save all the emojis that you want to use for your WhatsApp chats with your friends, because I'm sure they will be much more appreciated and much more welcome over there as against using them in your business email. Because if you use emojis, you're going to come across as too casual, unprofessional, and over-friendly. So, well, these are the mistakes that I've seen a lot of people making while writing business emails. If you know of some more mistakes, feel free to write to me in the comment box below. And make sure you keep subscribing to our lessons by subscribing to our channel. It's time for me, Rima, to actually, you know, make sure that I don't make any more mistakes in my business email, because remember, I was typing a business email. I'm going to go finish that, and I'm going to catch you very soon. Till then, take care.